Lucas here again for another movie review. Yesterday, I went out and saw the new film Drive, starring Ryan Gosling, Carey Mulligan, Albert Brooks, Ron Perlman, Bryan Cranston, huge cast. And I was very excited to see this film because it has been getting like extremely rave reviews. Like it has like 122 positive reviews and 10 negative reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, something crazy like that. Many people on YouTube that I'm friends with said it's their favorite movie of the year. Some have said it's like one of the best movies they've ever seen. So, needless to say, I was pretty freaking excited to see this movie. I have to say that it definitely lived up to expectations, the very high expectations that I had for it, and it's definitely one of my favorite movies of the year, and I'm here to tell you why. Drive has a very simple story. It stars Ryan Gosling with a man with no name. You just know him as Driver, who's a stunt driver for Hollywood action films and moonlights as a getaway driver, which personally to me is like the coolest idea ever. I just think that's freaking awesome. He ends up forming this relationship with his neighbor, played by Carey Mulligan, and her son, while Carey Mulligan's husband is in jail. And Carey Mulligan's husband comes back from jail, and these people want him to do a job, otherwise they will harm him and his family. So Ryan Gosling says, I'll handle the job with you so they don't touch your family. And something goes wrong, they're set up, and to put it lightly, shit goes down. Drive, I absolutely love. I think it's very dark, I think it's very brutal, and I don't think the average moviegoer will really appreciate this movie, but I really encourage everybody to see it because I do love it a lot. Ryan Gosling was very good as Driver. I thought that he was very stoic. He doesn't have much dialogue. He only has like 40 lines for maybe the whole film, but I thought he was very intimidating and I thought he really conveyed his emotions just with body language and facial expressions, and I think that's one of the highest compliments you can give to an actor when they're intimidating, but can also be emotional at the same time without really speaking. I also thought Carey Mulligan as the neighbor was very good. She didn't have much dialogue either, but I thought that she was fine in her role. But who I really loved was the villain Albert Brooks, who, you know, every time I see him I think, oh, it's Nemo, but when you see Albert Brooks killing people, it's pretty intimidating, and I thought he was pretty scary. I thought him and his partner Nino, played by Ron Perlman, were pretty intimidating, and I think that's kind of hard to pull off with those two actors, because I think of Ron Perlman as Hellboy, and I think of Albert Brooks as Nemo, so when you can make those two people really intimidating, I gotta give you props. People have been praising the direction of this movie, and I do think it's very well directed, but I don't think it's as original as people were saying. I thought the director was very similar to Quentin Tarantino in the sense where it's very violent, like all Quentin Tarantino films, but I thought this movie was very similar to Inglourious Basterds in a way that it was very violent, but at the same time very arty. Like in Inglourious Basterds, there's a lot of slow-mo deaths, and in here, a lot of the deaths are in slow-mo, and I thought that that was kinda, not really a rip-off, but I don't know if it was an unintentional homage or whatever, but I still thought the direction was very good. I have to say, they captured my city of LA really well. The city I live in is Los Angeles, as most of you know, and I actually live pretty close to a lot of the areas that they show in the movie, and I thought that the direction of this movie captured the feel of LA so well and the look of LA so well, and it's weird because it took a Danish director to do that. You know, like half of the movies that come out take place in Los Angeles, and if they don't take place in Los Angeles, they're usually shot here, and it takes a Danish director to really bring Los Angeles out as its own character almost, and I just thought that was incredibly cool. So thank you, Nicholas Winding Refn, you are awesome. This movie is freaking violent. Like, I didn't expect it to be this violent going in, but this film is like almost cartoonishly gory and just at points freaking insane. I mean, I won't go into it, but there is some pretty crazy deaths involving a motel scene, which is very suspenseful and very tense, but what happens is pretty freaking insane. I'll just say it involves a shotgun and a shower curtain. Something almost as memorable as that was probably, or maybe even more memorable, was a elevator scene, which you've probably seen in the trailer, where you just gotta see the movie to you just gotta see the movie to witness these scenes because they're just so over the top violent that you can't help but love them. And I still remember every detail, and they're so memorable. I also thought the soundtrack and the score to this movie was very, very retro. The whole film has this like 70s, 80s neo-noir kind of feel to it, but I thought the score was really good, really got me tense. I mean, the whole movie I was very tense. Like, I was more jittery and antsy than I am in most horror movies, which is a very big compliment because that helps the atmosphere to this movie a lot. The score just kind of amplified that, and the soundtrack, they have some like classical music, and they have like these 80s songs, which you wouldn't think would work well with this type of thriller, but they actually really amplify some of the scenes and make the film even more memorable than it already is. It also manages to make a very simple story very interesting, and you're just kind of glued to the screen. Once the violence starts happening, you can't turn away just because you don't know what's going to happen next. The only problem I have with Drive is that I thought the ending was kind of unsatisfying. I don't want it to be a Hollywood ending because that's not what the film is. It's pretty much the opposite of a Hollywood ending, but I thought they could have tweaked the ending a little bit just to make it more fulfilling, but really it was just a small problem and it didn't ruin the movie for me. I love Drive, and I was kind of going back and forth between 4.5 and 5, kind of like what I did with Warrior, and I was thinking about 5 because the movie is so memorable, and it just kind of took me for it was more of an experience than watching a movie, which is always one of the highest compliments you can give a movie. But I think it's just that ending that's preventing me from giving it 5 stars. So like Warrior, I'm going to give it the highest 4.5 I can give. I do love the movie, and I think everybody should see it. This is not for the faint of heart. I mean, this is extremely violent, extremely gory. So I don't know if I can recommend it to everybody, but I absolutely loved it. I want to say, the films this year is so much better than 2010, it's crazy. It's like they were saving all the crappy movies for 2010, and they would reward you for 2011, because I've seen so many great movies this year that it's almost crazy that 2010 was just last year. I don't know, that's just me. Comment below and tell me if you agree with that statement, because the movies that have been coming out this year have just been fantastic. Definitely urge everybody to see Drive. I loved it. One of the most memorable movies of the year, one of the best movies of the year, and I absolutely loved it. So, thanks for watching, and see you guys later.